Well, the area around Waco, Texas is proven to be another area where there's a violation of human rights, civil rights, and constitutional rights, in violation of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as guaranteed or tried to be guaranteed or protected by the Constitution of the United States. I'm going to actually display some images here from bikers around the world, but it's something, I don't know what the hell, these are basically generic images, but it basically the message is the same damn thing. Well, here's what's going on in Waco, Texas, though. What they said, there's over 170 people on $1 million bonds. Million. So they're not making bond, right? So what they did was he says that they want them to sign to reduce the bond so they can get the hell out. They want them to sign a document. This the cops are telling them. They want them to sign a document that they're not going to sue the police force for wrongful arrest. There won't be a lawsuit. I got to tell you one thing. A lot of, I'm showing here Vietnam vets. I know the Vietnam Vets Club wasn't involved in this or nothing like that. But one thing I want to make a major point of is a lot of times bikers are veterans. And that's why they go into it. Because, the camaraderie is something they miss that they don't get in a civilian life after they got out of the military, so they go into clubs. So, even though they're not the Vietnam Vets Club, whatever it is, but, a lot of times it's the camaraderie that they miss. And a lot of the bikers are veterans. And, they just blatantly freaking arrested everybody that was in the whole freaking area. It was almost like, people were just standing around, they didn't know what the hell was going on. And all of a sudden, the cops come in here and just arrest everybody. $1 million bail. $1 million bail. What the hell are they kidding, bond, so, but they're admitting that they did something wrong. The cops, they're admitting they did something wrong by arresting these people because they want them, in other words, they're being held like, basically these people in jail are being held like it's a ransom. We arrested you wrongly, which is really what's going on, because there was like, what the hell? If you're freaking, 100 yards away from something and you're wearing a patch colors, that means you're guilt by association. Well, that's almost like, you can play this thing two ways. You could say anybody in a uniform of blue, if somebody does something wrong there, if you're in the blue uniform, well, all your freaking people that are with you, you're freaking the bad guy too. Then how's that? It could work both ways. And, that's really what's kind of starting the way the public is starting to think it is kind of garbage. But, it's like, yeah, you always realize there's some bad cops that do some bad things, and there's always some bikers that do some bad things once in a while. And, it's like, by and large, it's not like that. Most people are stand-up people. They just do the right thing, right? But, this was a thought-out decision. This is what I got to emphasize. This is a thought-out decision. Whatever happened in Waco could have been the heat of passion, whatever the hell it was. I don't know. Somebody could have been drunk or high on some shit or whatever the hell it was, and they shot somebody and boom, boom, boom. That was it. But the thing is, when the cops are making this blatant, like, hey, man, we shouldn't have freaking, and they didn't say it like that, but they basically says, we had the right to arrest you. That's what they want you to sign. We had the right to arrest you, and he or she will not file a lawsuit against McLennan County or the City of Waco. And then we'll lower your bail or your bond, and then you can get out of jail or whatever the hell it is. So, what the hell is this? Putin land or something? The tricycle, Vlad the tricycle rider Putin? For crying out loud. Actually on June 7th, there's going to be a biker ride over in that area in support of the people to show that they're not going to be intimidated by the police. I hate to say this sometimes, but I notice, everybody knows there's always some cops that are screwed up. Everybody kind of knows this. But, by and large, the public supports the police, right? That's what it should be, right? But the thing is, this is actually a threat to the civil liberties of everybody, or the constitutional liberties of everybody. Because when you're making this statement, first off, they tell them it's $1 million bond. Somebody's like 300 yards away, they're wearing the same colors, they arrest them, $1 million bond. For what? How are you guilty of this? Was it planned? But the thing is, what's planned is the fact that it was a conscious decision. It's a fact that the police in Waco are saying, hey, we screwed up. They're figured this out, and they're trying to cover their ass. Basically, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do the suck, bang, blow, whatever the hell it is. I don't know. And it's a matter of, they're not, actually, I think it's almost like this. I can tell you this anyway, even with any contract. I mean, I'm not a lawyer or an attorney or anything like that, but it's pretty much, any contract that's made under coercion is null and void. That's like pretty much, a given. So, they're telling you, hey, we got $1 million, there's $1 million bond for you to get out. If you don't sign this, you're staying in there forever. So, in other words, you're signing for, you're going to say that, the police had a right to arrest you, you had to sign in for it, it was okay, you're signing for, we're not going to do a lawsuit, and then we're going to reduce your bond, and then you can get out. Well, you know what? It's almost like saying, sign this contract or else it's going to cost you $1 million. It's coercion. It's under duress. Contract is null and void. So, I don't want to give legal advice here, but it's almost like, that's pretty obvious what the hell the deal would be. So, the cops ain't getting out of this deal with the suck, bang, blow freaking deal, whatever the hell it is, with the Gistmeister, whatever the hell it is, they're not getting out of this deal. It's like they're going to be, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is crazy because, I mean, what the hell? People ought to think when they're freaking doing this kind of stuff. And, what's going on is, well, I don't like being anti-police because, I don't like being anti-police. I'm being pro-police. But, I always realize some cops are screwed up. And you got to kind of watch out because you don't know who the hell they are, And the thing is, but when the actual entity itself is making a conscious decision like this to deny people's rights and coerce them into this, that, and all this other kind of stuff, it's like, you know what I'm saying, man? You're talking like it's Russia, and this ain't Russia. It's the United States of America. This is under Vlad Putin land. I know that guy who comes around here and he rides his Vladdy boy. He comes around, he rides his three-wheel tricycle and stuff, and he acts like he's this and that. His kind of people he puts around him are political people that actually kiss his butt. And in the United States, we're not about kissing people's butts. We're about thinking free and standing on our own feet, and that's what the hell it is. So anyway, this is really some sick shit, man. That's what I'm really thinking about it, because I'm thinking, Waco, here we go again, man. The kids get freaking burned to death with gas and stuff like that from Janet Reno. And, they deny it, all this kind of crap, and, a bunch of peaceful, crazy Christian types, whatever the hell they are. I mean, they're probably crazy in a way, because I'm not too religious, but, that was the one thing that happened way back when. And, now you got this deal coming up. What the hell's the deal with this shit? It's crazy, man. And it's actually a threat to everybody's freedoms, whether you're a biker or not. It really is. It really is. And actually, I tell you the truth. Even with in bikerdom, I actually like to look at a lot of, even as cyclists too. It's just a carryover of the two-wheel freedom everywhere. This was Eddie Merckx, the Cannibal. Always liked that name, the Cannibal. 5-time Tour de France winner. Riding without a helmet when they weren't wearing helmets way back when. Man, that shit was cool. No helmets, man. No helmets. Now they got to, like, freaking even that stuff. You got to wear helmets. But, you know, I'm looking at this deal and I'm saying, man, this is beyond screwed up. I mean, it's like you're dealing with the freaking Soviet Union here, for crying out loud. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I mean, yeah, you need law and order, but, you know, I'm realizing who is the gang and who is not the gang. You know, it's like you got a gang. You know, you say, you know, the bikers are wearing colors, but then, you know, are the cops wearing colors and they're just under a different guise? You know, I don't know, man. It's getting crazy. And like I said, even the people, like, you know, you say they're the hardcore 1% groups and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of veterans in there too. So who the hell to say what's right and wrong? But to say you're guilty by association because you're a biker or because you're wearing the same colors, you're wearing the same patch, that's ludicrous, man. That's ludicrous. I mean, they're trying to freaking play these rules like, you know, the RICO and all this kind of stuff against all these clubs. But then again, you know, they got all this stop and seizure stuff when you find, like, you're driving down the street and you got some cash on you or something, and the cops are freaking confiscating the cash, and then you go to the court, it's like the government versus the cash, it's not even against you. And I'm like thinking, what? That's racketeering, man. That's what's going on. And that whole concept was started by a retired cop that was in California. You know, when he just you're driving down the road and you got, you know, a couple $1,000s of cash on you, and say, "Oh, it's drug money." It ain't drug money, you jerk. It's freaking money you earned. You know? I mean, how the hell? I mean, they could say if they confiscate the cash, it was from illegal activities. But if it's not from illicit act, you know, they gotta show that. They gotta show that. Yeah, they just grab it. I mean, they got people freaking driving down the road that was going to make a purchase of a vehicle on eBay. Cops confiscate the money. But, you know, if you could say one cop did that, why not say they're all guilty by association the same way they're freaking doing with the bikers? Because, you know, united we stand, divided we fall. That's the way I look at it. Actually, it should be anybody who rides two wheels that freaking should be fighting against this kind of crap. I don't care if you're riding a bicycle in a park on a weekend or whatever the hell it is. You don't even have a Harley or whatever. This is something that really strikes at the core of the United States. You know, I can't believe the alternative media freaking always kissing Vlad Putin's ass. You know, I'm going off on a tangent here, but you know what? That's the exact opposite of what the hell we're about here in the United States. We hear about here in the United States is individuality, man. To do our own thing, and to associate and to group together in bonds that we want to be, you know, known with. It's a matter of that's our freedoms. You know, for the authorities to freaking come down and just arrest everybody because they were in the vicinity and because, you know, or they were wearing the same patch or whatever the hell it was. It's flat out wrong, man. It's flat out wrong. And they know it. They know it. So now they're being held on ransom. I don't think that's going to fly because, you know, the deal is when people are being held like that, in other words, it's a contract that's being coerced. It's being coerced. And any contract that's being coerced is null and void. That's exactly how it is. And, you know, actually coming in this day and age, there's going to be a lot more motorcycle riders out there because I've been saying for a while, I think the deal coming up where there's, you know, we saw the recent, one of the largest oil producing areas that produced 1/3 of the oil for Iraq got blown up just last week. And it took a lot of oil off the market. You saw the WTI spike up, you know, on the global market over $2. I'm going to tell you one thing. One thing's leading to another thing. And all these Middle East tensions, you're going to see a lot more people turning to two wheels for riding because it's a lot more economical than cars. So, you know, if the cops are going to make this association, if you ride a motorcycle, this and that, and all this kind of stuff. Now, I know they don't for a lot of reasons, though. I'm going off on this kind of long. I know they don't for a lot of reasons because there's a lot of people that are basically high dollar people that just ride motorcycles on the weekend. And, you know, if the cop was to harass them and do this and that, there'd be a lot of attorneys all over that shit real fast. You know what I mean? So they realized that. So what they were picking on here, though, is they figured these were patch holders. So they're all guilty by association. That's what they did. And to hold them all just blatantly for, you know, $1 million. You know, a lot of people aren't aware. That's what the bond was set, $1 million. I mean, you're wearing the same patch. You know, you're hundreds of yards away. You don't even know what the hell happened. You hear a noise down there, bang, bang, whatever the hell it is. And you're guilty of what? Guilty of what? Nothing. Nothing. It was wrongful arrest. But they're holding him and saying they're not going to reduce that $1 million unless they sign something that the cops don't get sued. Or that the police in McLennan County and Waco don't get sued. Well, I can tell you one thing. That's a contract under duress. And contracts under duress are null and void. Even though I'm not an attorney, that's just basic business law. That's exactly what it is. So, a lot of stuff going on here, man. I'm getting disgusted with a lot of this shit, to tell you the truth. I don't want to say too much on here, but I'm really getting disgusted with a lot of this shit. I know Alex Jones just likes to freaking fan the flames of freaking division and stuff. I'm not like anti-police, but, you know, I mean, if you're a cop and you realize this shit's going on, you ought to speak up to the freaking yo-yo in charge and tell him it's bullshit. Because there's always ways around the thing, because we got to work with the good cops versus, because there's some bad cops out there freaking playing this kind of shit. I can tell you that right now. It's like you got bad apples in every group, whether they're bikers or cops. And if you're going to start playing guilt by association, then we're going to be living in communism. And, you know, you got to freaking go by the individual, and that's all you got to go by, the individual actions. You don't freaking go after people and arrest people because they're wearing the same colors. It's bullshit, and everybody damn well knows it. So, anyway, on June 7th, there's going to be a bike ride down through the earth around that area in support of the bikers. And let's hope there's a big-ass turnout. So, you know, because, you know, this is really unjust, man. You know, they're trying to apply the gamma suck, bang, blow bullshit. You know, sign the contract or you're not getting out, right?